Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. I feel like black and gold going back to the Super Bowl. I feel like black and gold going back to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. I feel like black and gold going back to the Super Bowl. I feel like black and gold going back to the Super Bowl. I feel like black and gold going back to the Super Bowl. I feel like black.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Shouts out to everybody that tuned in to the cross-promotional podcast of 85 North podcast, and also the State of the Saints podcast, breaking down the week 4 matchup, Saints versus Falcons. Had a really good time over there. Shouts out to my guy Big Q. Shouts out to Aaron. Shouts out to CB, man. CB was also supposed to be another Saints podcaster that was supposed to be there, but shouts out to him, man. We had a good time. Had a really good time, man, talking Saints Falcons. Had a really good time, kind of seeing what they had to say. Shouts out to Ty McClure, the legendary offensive lineman of the Atlanta Falcons. He actually was on the show as well. Louisiana native, not a real big fan of the Saints, but we're going to forgive him for that. He's a really nice guy and a really informative football player. So I want to give him a shout out as well. And also those that are checking out this video, I really do appreciate it, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. For a few minutes, and I do mean a few minutes, we're going to be talking about the Saints adding Shane Lemieux, not Mario Lemieux, but Shane Lemieux to the active roster from the practice squad, and also adding veteran center Chris Reed to their practice squad. So Saints are making some moves. We're also going to be talking about the injury report of the New Orleans Saints, looking like a mass unit. A bunch of very, very important individuals, that were on that list for the first week. The first day that you had to report injuries. We seen some names, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well. It's very, very simple for those that are new to the State of the Saints podcast. We're a very interactive podcast. If you got something to say, if you want to let people know how you feel about the team, if you want people to know what you feel in general, all you have to do is put those comments in the chat. Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not your bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not your bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to talk right back to you.
Nice.
Yes, it's very simple. Just put those comments in the chat. But we also want to acknowledge those that couldn't make it, those that were at work or probably had something else to do of importance, but they never miss an episode. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweet and be posting. They be tweet and be posting. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys, they be tweet and be post, they be tweet and be post, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there, but let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints activating Shane Lemieux from the practice squad. Now, Shane Lemieux has been with the team. He took part in training camp, as a lot of us know. But Shane Lemieux has a respectable resume. He is 27 years old. He went to the University of Oregon from 2015 to 2019. He was drafted in a 2020 draft. He was a fifth round pick to the New York Football Giants, where he played for 4 seasons. He played from 2020 to 2023. And of course, he was with the New Orleans Saints in 2024. Now, he was a first-team All-American, a 2-time second team All MAC Pac-12, 2018 and 2019. Look, I think that Shane Lemieux brings something that's a little bit different to the offensive line. I don't feel like he's a star in any constellation. I'm just being honest. But I think that he gives you a guy that's been around, that understands what the Saints expect of him. Like I mentioned, he's been with the team since the offseason. So he was able to take part in training camp, working alongside Eric McCoy during those times. So activating him just made sense. But the Saints also decided to sign another center and add him to the practice squad as of right now. And that center name is Chris Reed. Chris Reed is 32 years old. He graduated from Minnesota State. He was undrafted back in 2015, been a little bit of a journeyman, played for teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, Carolina Panthers, Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings, Houston Texans, and also the New Orleans Saints. Now, before everybody kind of goes in on this guy and say, man, this dude been around more than, somebody that's been out on the town. But before you get into all that, just understand, man, the guy just had some injuries. Every time he's been in a lineup, he played relatively well. But it's one of those he's hell when he's well type situations. When he's out there, he plays really good. But he's had some injuries throughout his career, and because of that, teams haven't really been committed to him. But he is on the practice squad. I expect for the New Orleans Saints to kind of coach him up. I think that the fact that Chris Reed was alongside Clint Kubiak at one time, I think that kind of made sense. The fact that he has some type of rapport with him. Also, the offensive line coach of the New Orleans Saints, he has a little bit of a rapport with him. So it kind of makes sense. And we know that the Saints are going to be looking for, this type of help, guys to kind of come along. Because Eric McCoy will be missed for these 6 to 8 weeks. He is a guy that is a presence when he's out there. He matters. The center position is one of the most important positions on the field. And if you don't believe me, let a snap go over the quarterback's head. We seen Shane Lemieux. Unfortunately, I don't want to pick on a guy. He hasn't played in a regular season game for the Saints, but I think the play that kind of stands out was the fact that I think when Spencer Rattler was playing in preseason, he snapped the ball over the head of Spencer Rattler, and Spencer Rattler had to had to kind of scrounge for the ball there. And I never forget, like, it was really, really close. Like, if you go back and watch that play and see Spencer Rattler, like, recovering the ball, like, Spencer Rattler was, like, inches away from having a serious knee injury. Like, the way his knee was buckled and the way that defender, like, kind of fell down on top of him, that could have been really, really ugly, man. I'm talking about in a split second, he was able to get his leg from under himself, because if he would have, I'm talking about a brief second, he probably would have had a serious injury, and they probably would have had to get him carted off the field. Like, go back and watch that play. But I'm not going to hold that against Shane Lemieux. Everybody makes mistakes. That's what preseason is for. And I'm hoping by that time, he'll get opportunity to play. We won't see some of those mistakes. Hopefully him and Derek Carr has some type of rapport. I know it's going to take some time, man. Eric McCoy isn't somebody that you can easily replace, but the Saints are going to have to find a way to try to get this thing together. I feel like this is a very important game for the New Orleans Saints. And I said on the podcast, the collaborative podcast, that I just feel like this game is a little bit more important for the New Orleans Saints. I just think that when you look at the road for the Atlanta Falcons, they got a couple divisional games, so they can kind of get themselves back into shape. But for the New Orleans Saints, I just think that you fall to this game, you can find yourself on the back end. I mean, you got to go into Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then you got Sean Payton coming to town. So I just think that, you have to have this sense of urgency and got to come up with a better game plan to try to come away with a victory. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if it's a 1-point victory. I don't care if it's a field goal. I don't care if it's a pick six. I don't care if it's a block punt, return for a touchdown. You got to find a way to be able to win this football game versus the Atlanta Falcons. And this offensive line cannot go out there and do some of the things that it has been doing. You can't be running into each other. Now, I understand that, Eric McCoy left the game and you had Lucas Patrick come into the game, and then you also had Ali Udoh come into the game, and it just seemed like it was just slapstick comedy at this point. I think a lot of people seen the video of Ali Udoh and Cesar Ruiz running into each other like a 1992 cartoon, like Animaniacs or Looney Tunes or Tiny Toon Adventures or something. Like, it was just absolutely ridiculous, man, that guys on this particular level are running into each other. I mean, I just don't understand it, but I think the Saints seen enough of Ali Udoh. The reason why I feel like, they're working out these offensive linemen. Now, I think that more than likely Ali Udoh is probably going to, be a backup. I think that Landon Young will probably get an opportunity, or maybe Nick Saldiveri at the right guard position. Or no, not the right guard position, but the left guard position if they decide to have Lucas Patrick come into the game and continue to play center. Now, Shane Lemieux moving up to the active roster, does that mean that he will probably be the starting center? I don't know. Maybe the Saints will look at Lucas Patrick and feel like maybe a week of preparation will probably have him prepared. So I really don't know. But all I know is I don't need to see Ali Udoh, a.k.a. if the Saints can help it. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. Shouts out to the wrench game. You heard. Shouts out to you, Cartel. Thank you for being here, man. TJ being extra professional. Respect. Well, look, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for being here, man. We try, man. We try. You already know wrench game. Says shouts out to the entire wrench game. You heard me. Let's see. Only one bird team I have a problem with. Says, how about trade for a better center? I don't know, man. What you gonna give? I don't know, BJ. That's kind of tough, man. Nobody's gonna be giving away centers left and right, man. I mean, if you got some stability at the offensive line position, it's gonna be hard for you to be able to pilfer that, especially when teams know you desperate, man. Like, it'll be one thing if you have like a solid offensive lineman and you can kind of be like, man, I can go into the season, but teams will look at this as an opportunity to try to fleece the Saints, right? Because you know that you need Eric McCoy. Eric McCoy is a all-pro caliber offensive lineman, and now you're without him. So teams will probably look at that like, man, you must really need a center, don't you? All right, how about you give us a second and a third or something like that? Like they'll try to fleece them, but I think they're doing the right things, man. I think they understand where they are right now. I think that the Saints understand that, you don't know what 2025 is going to look like. You hope that Dennis Allen and his team and his coaching staff can get it together and have a successful season. But I just think that the Saints aren't trying to have any extravagant expenses at this point. And if you're being honest with yourself, can you blame them? Can you blame them? I just think that the Saints organization is having a wait and see approach when it comes to Dennis Allen. They're going to give him enough to be able to do what he needs to do. But I just think that when it comes down to the Saints trying to be a contender and really feeling like they can have a chance and not have this wait and see approach, is probably going to happen in 2025. But I don't see, a team like just willing to just give the Saints something, and be reasonable about it if they know they're desperate. Man, that play killed me. Yeah, I assume you talking about that snap. Yeah, that was bad, man. This is all bad, bro. Yeah, it's pretty bad, man, when you look at it. But man, I'd rather have these injuries early than to have these things late. And I think we also have to look at the fact that we now have a little bit of excitement, a little bit of expectations about the team because we seen them get off to this 2-1 start. But I just think that if we were talking at the beginning of the season, we were talking as if the Saints would be like 1-4 or 1-5 or something, right? So the fact that they are going through this gauntlet to start the season and you're having like some of these injuries, maybe, you can get some of these guys back early, like late in the season, when you kind of got past this gauntlet. You got Kendre Miller. I'm excited to see what he can actually do this season. He was an onlooker today at practice. He actually can practice this week. He just can't play after this week, and he can be activated. And I think the Saints are going to utilize Kendre Miller. I think that Kendre Miller is the New Orleans Saints, complimentary back that they're waiting on. No disrespect to Jamal Williams, but I just think Kendre Miller has a little bit more to offer the New Orleans Saints in this system than he does. I'm not saying Jamal Williams is terrible. I'm not saying Jamal Williams can't do anything. I just feel like Kendre Miller hasn't even like touched the surface of where he could actually be as a running back. I see the potential, and I think you all see it too. And I think the Saints do as well, because if they didn't, I don't think that they would have kept him on the roster after he didn't even train during training camp, right? I mean, he hurt himself, I want to say, on the first day of training camp and didn't do anything. So I just think that the New Orleans Saints believe in this guy, and I think that he's going to thrive in this offense, man. I think he's going to be a dog. I mean, he seems like he's really motivated. If you follow him on social media, I think that he wants to prove to people that he is that guy. He is that dude. And, I think that, he can be something special. I mean, when he's out there, you notice him. So that's a plus. Yella says, I'll be honest, Trevor with the bone-headed penalty cost us the game and momentum. Shaking my head, but you right, this is sad. Yella, I will say that, it was a bonehead penalty, but I don't think that he cost the New Orleans Saints. I don't think he cost them, because it was a 15-yard penalty, but the Saints ended up scoring on that drive. So the Saints were able to overcome adversity in order for them to score. So, but I will say to your point, Yella, Trevor Penning has to understand that, man, your team needs to be able to drive down the field. You cannot cost your team. You cannot allow your emotions to get the best of you. I understand that you want to give somebody something a little extra. You're mean, you're nasty. You like that in the offensive lineman, but your offensive linemen also have to be smart. I mean, you play to the whistle blow, or you push a guy out of bounds and then the play is over. But I don't know, man. You got to be able to learn from these type of situations. If you can't, then find somebody else that will. Then the play when Derek and AK went opposite ways on a handoff. Yeah, it was like a awkward handoff, but AK ended up getting like 2 or 3 yards on that play. I know what you're talking about. TJ loving the new sound. LMAO, that oh no is crazy, big brother. Yeah, Ali Udo, man. That's what we're gonna be using now. Every time we talk about him, man, we gotta say Ali Udo. We gotta say Ali.
Oh
No. I'm a heel Saints fan to these Falcon fans. I think I think that I think a lot of people look at me in that way too, Jerry. At least Spencer knows how to play with a crappy line. That's what he came for. Yeah, where he came from, excuse me, at AS. Yeah, you're right, man. That South Carolina offensive line was absolutely hot garbage. But I will say, man, South Carolina looked much better this season, man. They gave LSU fits, man. I mean, LSU came away with the heist of the century with that. We didn't sign that center Allen. No, we didn't sign him. We didn't sign. I think his name is Brian Allen, if I'm not mistaken. But no, they didn't sign him. I don't understand why we didn't. We have a running back help block on a pass plays. Yeah, I mean, all I know is, man, you got to find a way to run the football this week, because if not, then the Falcons are going to win this football game. You may not want to hear that, but that's just the truth. I agree with the injuries now than later, especially with us trying to hit the playoffs this season. Well, I look at it, Cartel. nobody at the beginning of the season thought the Saints were going to be in a good position anyway. So if you was to drop some of these games, like, there's still an opportunity for you to be able to win them. And I'm not even saying, like, you still can overcome, some of the adversities. I'm not saying that they ain't capable, but it's going to be tough. Like, let me go ahead and pull up this list, man. I mean, I know a few guys that are on the list, but I want to make sure that, I name everyone. It's tough, man, when you got some of these significant injuries to players that make an impact. I mean, it's tough, man. You can only overcome so much. I mean, there's a reason why these guys are starters. I mean, I'm looking at this list. You got Derek Carr. Let me see if I can actually pull this up. This is got this from Nick Underhill's X page here. He had the list on his page. So let me go ahead and pull that up so everybody can see it here. Here it is. I'll go ahead and read. I know the font is a little bit small. It says Derek Carr has a left groin injury full time. You got Taysom Hill had a chest injury. He was a full participant. You have DeMarco Jackson, who had a calf injury. He had a light practice. I think that if something was to happen where Demario Davis couldn't play, DeMarco Jackson or Anthony Orji are probably going to be your guys, alongside, probably be rotational guys along with Willie Gay and P. Warner. You also had Colin Saunders with a calf injury. He's slowly starting to make his way back. If you follow him on social media, you got Landon Young dealing with a foot injury, light practice. Alante Taylor with an illness did not practice. So I expect for him to play if he's sick this early in the week. I expect for him to give it a go. You got Demario Davis with the hamstring, and that's something that we have to pay attention to because, Demario Davis got injured and he wasn't out there on that final play. He wasn't out there on the final play, and we all know what happened. Well, it wasn't the final play, but the play with Dallas Goedert, and we all know what happened with that. So if he's not out there, that is a tremendous loss to the defense because we know that Demario Davis definitely is the heartbeat of that defense as of right now. You got Alvin Kamara with hip and ribs, did not practice. It kind of scared me a little bit with Alvin Kamara, like on that play where, he was running, he got the ball into the red zone and he stayed down on the ground, man. I mean, I was concerned, man. And you also have Cesar Ruiz with a knee injury and he did not practice. Of course, we know Cesar Ruiz actually left the game for a while, but he came back in. So that's the Saints injury report. And then you got Caleb McGarry for the Falcons with a knee injury, and that's it. I don't know what the heck going on. I really don't. I don't know what they doing at Saints practice. I don't know how these guys, I don't know. They just got such bad luck when it comes to the injuries. My goodness, man. I'll be looking at the Saints injury list, and I look at these other teams' injury list, and I'm like, you'd be having like maybe one or two guys on the injury list for the visiting team or the opposition. Like it just, I don't understand it, man. I don't know what the heck going on. But they always got this long list of injuries, man. Let's see. He dang near pushed him into the stands. Yeah, I guess that's what he was trying to make a point. I feel like Derek Carr needs to step up. Well, he definitely can't have a game like he did last week versus the Eagles. He can't do that because if you do, you're going to lose. And I'm telling you, they're going to try to come into this game trying to shut down the run, and they're going to try to get Derek Carr to beat him. I'm telling people, like, I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm just telling you the freaking truth. The fact of the matter is people are going to look at the New Orleans Saints in this newfound running game. They're going to go into the game trying to shut down the running game. Now, can they do that consistently, for weeks to come? I don't think so, but they're going to try to shut down the running game, and they're going to count on Derek Carr to try to go out there and use his arm to win week after week. That's going to be the plan. And I don't believe that can happen if you just rely on Derek Carr to throw the ball all over the place. 4th and 1 and Clint running AK inside is crazy. Yeah, I didn't understand that right there. I mean, it was pretty obvious that you was having issues in the interior there, where you have Ali Udo. You got Lucas Patrick moving from the left guard to the center. I just didn't understand that, man. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the pressure was coming right up the middle, and you made absolutely no adjustments. So I want to see how Clint Kubiak is going to be able to make adjustments. I mean, you were the toast of the town the first 2 weeks, and now, you know, I want to see how he's going to be able to respond after a tough outing as a play caller. TJ, if the Falcons win the game, I'm crashing out. Look, if they win the game, man, they just win the game. I don't look at this team as, you know, just some scrub, man, they're just coming through. Like, they're a good football team. And I know we don't want to give these guys credit, but they're a good football team. But the Saints got an opportunity to play them, you know, twice. So if the Falcons win, the Saints still got a chance to beat them. I don't know, man. You know, I don't look at it like, you know, it's just the worst thing ever. I want the Saints to win, of course. Don't get me wrong, especially against the Falcons. I want the Saints to beat the Falcons every time. But it's gonna be tough, man. Like, bruh, if this game turns into a blowout on any side, would be a shock to me. It would be a shock to me. Where's A.T. Perry? I have absolutely no idea. And that's the kind of stuff that really just concerns me. Like, no disrespect to Cedric Wilson, but what has he done as a wide receiver? And even when, like, they were in the game for like preseason situations and stuff where you were actually getting snaps, like, there was nothing about Cedric Wilson that I seen that just stood out and like, man, I can't wait to see what Cedric Wilson can do. This guy's out here blocking. I mean, I think Cedric Wilson had his first catch in 3 weeks. It took him 3 weeks to get his first catch. Like him or not, A.T. Perry is talented. He's talented. I don't know if the Saints are just holding him to his practice regiments or his effort in practice. Maybe that's the reason why they're not putting him on the field. But every time this dude goes out there and plays, he stands out. I just don't understand it, man. Like, what are we doing? Why are we leaving talent on the bench? Why are we trying to make talent work in the ways that we want them to work? I mean, I'm tired of it, man. Like, I'm tired of watching guys that you're putting on special teams because they don't fit a certain skill set or size that you feel like would be beneficial to your defense. And then, you know, on their way out the door, they showing you that they got what it takes because maybe in a contract year, you showing, well, go rush the passer. Caden Ellis had 7 sacks on his way out the door. Zach Bond, if I'm not mistaken, had maybe 5 or 6 sacks on his way out the door. Like, I'm just tired of it, man. Like, why is it that these dudes thriving in other situations? Like, all of a sudden they just become good? Like, they've always had this talent. So when I look at, you know, some of the things that's going on, man, just put the dude out there on the field, man. Like, he matters when he's out there. Like, if A.T. Perry was out there on Sunday versus the Philadelphia Eagles, I think it would have made a difference. But I just think that Cedric Wilson is a really good wide receiver that can block. Really good wide receiver that can block, and they just got him out there. And it's becoming one-dimensional. Like, nobody's respecting the fact that Cedric Wilson is going to catch a football. Like, the jury is out. Like, they know that Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, or Taysom Hill getting the football. Alvin Kamara, you can add that in there too. So about 4 dudes getting the football consistently on this football team. You know that you have Rashid Shaheed out there as the deep threat. You got Chris Olave out there running the intermediate routes and, you know, the shallow crosses and, you know, finding the soft spot in the zone. He's doing that. You got Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara running out of the backfield, maybe catching the ball on a screenplay. I mean, the jury is out. How about use some of these other guys that have talent? How about use them? And you know, like, this could be your Jawan Jennings. This can actually be your guy. If somebody was to go down, he can be able to step up. But I just think that the Saints are trying to be too cute when it comes to bringing these guys out here offensively, man. Being way too cute. Let the best guy that goes out there and he shows you what he has, what it takes, let him go out there and play. Plain and simple. Let him play. Like, you shooting yourself in the foot by limiting yourself from putting the most talented guys out there in game time, which you have seen. It just doesn't make any sense to me, man. What kind of point you trying to prove? Oh, he doesn't do this. He doesn't. Like, come on, man. Give me a freaking break. What does the tape show when he's out there on the field? But I don't know, man. I don't know if, you know, we got Cedric Wilson out there because we gave him a 2-year deal, but Man, A.T. Perry is a difference maker when he's out there. He's making plays. He like you got Rashid Shaheed out there, speedy guy, getting behind the defense, but at this stage, he's not really good at contested catches. He can catch the ball like, you know what I'm saying, if he's wide open, you know what I'm saying, get behind the defense. But A.T. Perry, he's catching those contested catches. He's a red zone problem. He's 6'5". So I just don't get the angle, man. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand why they trying to, try to make this, harder than what it actually has to be. Maybe it's, the Cedric Wilson blocking thing, but the fact that A.T. Perry is a healthy scratch week after week, man, you put A.T. Perry on another football team, I guarantee you he ain't going to be sitting on the bench. I guarantee you he's going to be out there making plays. And it's going to be another crazy boneheaded decision by the New Orleans Saints that have Saints fans scratching their head, wondering to themselves, why couldn't y'all find a way to utilize this guy? And why did the other team be able to do that? We can't keep on blaming stuff on scheme, man. I just think that sometimes they allow money and seniority and tenure to play a role in some of the decision making. I'm happy that the New Orleans Saints, not because not because I wanted it to happen, but I'm happy that they made the tough decision. They finally made a tough decision by having a downtick on Cam Jordan snaps. Finally, it was pretty obvious, man. So it was good to see that they are willing to make some of these tough decisions. But sometimes you got to be able to make all of the tough decisions at times if it means that your team is going to benefit from it. And I just feel like when it comes to pass catching, when it comes to guys making plays, I'm seeing A.T. Perry out there making plays when he's out there. But Cedric Wilson is out there blocking. I guess he's an offensive lineman masquerading as a wide receiver because I don't see the ball going his way. And teams are going to realize what you're actually doing. So hopefully you can actually add this dude. This dude is a talented player. It'd be one thing if he was out there just wetting the bed, but there are times where, everybody else is pretty much locked up. A.T. Perry out of nowhere. Here comes a 50-50 ball. He catching that joint. I don't understand how you can have a guy who had 12 receptions and 4 touchdowns and got him sitting on the bench. This guy had 12 receptions last season with 4 touchdowns. That's insane. So for every third reception, he scores a touchdown? Like, that's insane. And you got him sitting on the bench. Like, I don't understand that. I don't get the angle. I understand that it's a different type of offense. I would like to know, like, I don't know, man. If somebody that's watching this right now, a Saints beat writer, a reporter or something, if you can explain to me why A.T. Perry is on the bench. Is there like some type of personal vendetta? Is there like something they ain't seeing from the guy? What is it? Because why would you have a guy who had 12 receptions and 4 touchdowns sitting on the bench? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. The tight ends haven't been targeted much, probably for the exception of that first game. That first game, I thought that was what, I was like, man, we're going to start putting the tight ends in? A.T. Perry is the man for real. It's time to trade Jordan now to get rid of the used goods and get something in return. I don't know what you can get in return for a Cam Jordan in a trade, man. I just don't feel like teams are lining up to try to trade for a 35-year-old defensive end. Really talented, legend, but I don't think they're lining up for it. I do feel like this probably, I don't know, man. It's probably gonna be pretty much it, like for Cam Jordan, like in a Saints uniform. I feel after this season, even though he signed that contract extension, I don't know if maybe they'll do something a little bit different in order for him to, maybe test the free agent market or whatever, but the writing is on the wall, man. I don't want to see Cam Jordan go out like I don't want to have him go out sad like that, man. I'm glad that they decided to kind of did a downtick. I just feel like he's giving it his all out there, and it's pretty obvious, man, that it just ain't what it used to be. Not saying that he washed, but it's just for all the time, man. Like, man, y'all know when you're a kid, you have those quick reflexes. They, popping, you know what I'm saying? But when you start to get older, it's like a tick off, man. I used to make that shot, man. I would have caught that rebound, man. I would have caught that pass. It's just kind of how it is. And I just think that Cam Jordan is at that point, but he still is beneficial. I still feel like you can find snaps for him. I still think that he's good at stopping a run, but he is not happening. The double-digit sack years for Cam Jordan more than likely is over, and that's kind of expected for a guy that's his age. That's why you're happy that you're seeing Carl Granderson step up. You're happy that you're seeing Chase Young being disruptive, Brian Brzee getting pressure up the middle. You're happy to see those type of things because that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, if you got that Grizzly veteran on your football team or your basketball team, man, and he's still leading the team and scoring, I'm looking at the team like, man, what is your front office doing? Because it needs to be two things. It rather needs to be the passing of the guard, or you need to be doing your due diligence to find somebody to be able to kind of overtake that. It just kind of reminds me back in 1997 when the San Antonio Spurs drafted first pick overall Tim Duncan out of Wake Forest. And you had David Robinson, who was a legendary player for the San Antonio Spurs and played a lot of good basketball. But, when they drafted Tim Duncan, he was the guy that was supposed to come in and dethrone David Robinson. And that was the case, right? I mean, they were the Twin Towers for a couple of years, but, David Robinson wasn't, what he used to be. And it was understandable. He could take a back seat because now you got the young guy, who had that bank shot. He became the best power forward in all of basketball. So that's just the way that it goes, man. If you're doing right with your front office, that's just the pecking order. That's just how it works. And you have that in Carl Granderson. Luckily for you, because other teams, they don't have that, right? They be searching. Like when they lose a legendary pass rusher, they're looking far and wide to try to replicate that. Now they got a few teams that have do things a little bit differently where they can actually find those guys back to back. But for the most part, man, it's hard to find. So I ain't trying to see Cam Jordan go out sad, man. I'm glad they had that conversation with him, but he is useful with his knowledge and his motor. Cam has hustle, but we need more than that now. Yeah, pretty much. Cam is the sack master and the Yeah, he is, man. He's a legend. Like I said, I don't take pride in saying this, but it's just pretty obvious when you're watching the tape, man. It's pretty obvious when you're watching the tape. Chase Young getting pressure but no sack sound like his Washington football team days post rookie year. Yeah, man, but I don't know. I look at it two ways. You want them to get sacks, but if you're being disruptive and you roll like because you're being disruptive, guys got to go in the opposite direction, and that means that your teammate is getting the tackle or your teammate's getting the sack. I still feel like it is a presence, right? I feel like your presence is still warranted. I still feel like you're taking advantage of your opportunities. I know that we have been trained, and I've said this before on the show. We've been trained to kind of look at the sack, right, and everything else like the tackles for loss and the stopping of the run. We don't really pay attention to that as much, right? Because the sack has become like the sex appeal of the defensive line, right? It's what we look for. It's what we lust after. You get what I'm saying? Like, so if the guy isn't out there having double-digit sacks, we just feel like he's not useful. But he's out there making plays, man. He's making plays without looking like he's making plays, but he's helping his teammates be able to make those plays. So for that, I feel like he is necessary. But you got to be able to get to the quarterback. You got to be able to get pressure on him. You got to be able to move him off his spot also, But I think that Chase Young is doing the right things. The sacks will come the way that he's being disruptive. I'll say that. I'm going to take a few more, and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. But before I do, I want to acknowledge the fine folks at BETUS. This show is presented by BETUS. You can sign up today and get up to 150% on your first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposit by going to BETUS and using the promo code YouTube150. So once again, thank you to the fine folks at BETUS being the sponsor, and this show is being powered by BetUS. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and take a few more. Then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Says Kendra eating the lunch table right now at One Smoke. He doesn't know what healthy is. I don't know, man. I believe in the young kid. I'm not going to throw him away, because of some talk about that came from Dennis Allen. I think that Dennis Allen is trying to push this young kid. I think that he's trying to challenge him. I think that he's in a spot right now where he can challenge him the way that he did, disrespectfully, because this is a guy who was a 3rd round pick coming out of TCU. It's not like you're talking about a 1st round pick or a guy, that was picked in the top 10. This is a guy that, is a 3rd round pick. So, you can kind of push him around a little bit, right? He ain't got the big money deal yet. He ain't, 1st rounder. So you can kind of do those things. But I think it is him challenging Kendre Miller. But, from the looks of everything, the way that he took it, he seemed like he's trying to answer the challenge when he gets healthy. I'm not going to give up on the kid. I believe in him. I think that when he does come back, I think that he's going to make a lot of New Orleans Saints fans believe in him too. Y'all got to understand that pressures and clogging, running and passing lanes are impactful. They can lead to interception, sacks, or great, but there's many things he done to influence outcomes. Yeah, because everybody kind of just follows the ball. That's just what it is. People follow the ball. Pause. It's just one of those situations where if a quarterback throws the ball down the field, the ball's getting intercepted, then the cornerback gets that credit. They just follow it, right? So if Carl Granderson is getting a sack, he sacked the quarterback who had the ball in his hand. So that's just the way that people do it. They're not looking at the all 22. They're not looking at guys on the line individually. They're just following the football because that's how we've been programmed as fans, to follow the football. But when you're looking at this guy like maul people, when you're seeing these guys like, mauling guys and then chasing after the quarterback, which makes him roll from the right to the left, and then you got Carl Granderson over there, that's a sack. Carl Granderson will get the credit for the sack, but it starts with Chase Young winning his matchup and forcing him to go towards Carl Granderson's side. But, we got to be able to have a trained eye with the offensive line, a trained eye with the defensive line when the ball isn't in their direction. And I think that is going to tell the entire story. Darkside says Saints need to attempt more passes when they are in the red zone to not take a shot to the end zone after the block punt is crazy play calling. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that Darkside at this point, man, the passing game being supreme in New Orleans is a little bit passe. I think that they're trying to put an emphasis on a run because they feel like at this point is what they do best. I just think that, having Derek Carr go out there and try to sling that thing around, I just think that, it's not really happening. Like if you look at the Cowboy game, he only had 16 attempts. If I'm not mistaken, in the first game, he may have had maybe 23 or 24 attempts, between 23 and 25 attempts, something like that. So they're not asking him to throw the ball as much. They want to put an emphasis on the run because they feel like at this stage, that's how their bread is buttered. It says, I watched D-line, O-line, then the ball. Yeah, I mean, but some people aren't trained like that. Sharp Shank. They're just not, I mean, I find myself at times, like following the football too. But, I try to go back and take a look at what I missed. I have been paying attention to offensive line play since the Saints have had their issues over the last couple of years. But, we just kind of just follow the football, the show is always at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that though, especially like most casual fans. And I'm not calling anybody a casual fan. I'm just saying like people that don't really follow football like that. Like my wife. My wife is not a football fan like that. Like she'll watch in like special occasions. Shouts out to my wife. Every Super Bowl since we've been together, since we've been married. She always cooks, always had these little bomb meals and stuff like that. And she'll watch the game. And I was I was so proud, like watching her watch the game and talk about throwing the ball away. Like, I just thought that was just the funniest thing ever, man. Because my wife, she does not watch football, man. But that it just my point is a lot of people that don't really follow football as much, they just follow the football. I don't think the play calling is bad. It was the execution in the Eagles game. I think that the loss of Taysom Hill played a role in this. I think that Taysom being in this game will pay dividends for the New Orleans Saints. He's such a dynamic player. He can do so many different things. If you combine, hopefully, Alvin Kamara in this, I think that, and also add Jamal Williams as well. Add those guys and allow those guys to play. I think you'll find success. But I think Taysom Hill, him being out there, will pay dividends. Carr is 71% in the red zone, 4 touchdowns, and he hit a live bait for the touchdown to get the lead. Yeah, I mean, that's all true, Dark Side, but man, they're paying attention to the analytics, man. Like, when it comes, well, not analytics, they're paying attention to their scheme, like they want to run the football more than pass it. I don't know, man. Look, I just think that the New Orleans Saints understand what Derek Carr possesses at this point. Like I mentioned, he's not a terrible quarterback, but I just think that they understand that he thrives better with a strong running game. And I think that because of the strong running game and the offensive schemes, I just think that it is will help him find success, taking the ball out of his hands and putting it in the hands of like the running backs and not have him out there, absorbing a lot of punishment. And that's probably the reason why he has that 71% completion percentage, because they're not asking him to do too much. And, they're not asking him to throw the ball as many times. That's how Brady survived. Run the ball more. Can I interest the Saints in A.T. Perry? I don't think they want that. Make the defense sweat. Jamal Williams was a monster in Detroit. He needs more touches and run hard every snap. I think the last couple of weeks, Jamal Williams has run the ball really well in his opportunities. But when you only have one carry in the entire game, which is insane, like, I don't understand why the Saints don't utilize both of those guys, especially since you ain't have Taysom Hill. I just don't get it, man. Like, I don't know if the New Orleans Saints felt like Taysom Hill was going to play in that game, and they probably waited to the wee hours of the morning to realize that he wasn't going to play. And then all of a sudden, like, it just scrapped a lot of plays, because my thing about it is, like, some of those run plays that they had Taysom, like, why couldn't you give them to Jamal Williams? I just don't get it. Did you think that Taysom was going to play until like close to game time or something? Like, I don't know. But it seemed like something was missing. It seemed like they had a plan originally, but something happened which caused them not to be able to go with that plan. Maybe it was Eric McCoy too. Well, not maybe. It pretty much was Eric McCoy too, but I think it had a lot to do with Taysom Hill. I think maybe they thought that he was going to play, give it a go, and then, they just decided to kind of hold him off. Looking at Jaden Daniels play last night, mobile with legit arm. Someone from the 2018 draft resembles him, yet we picked Davenport, who may be out for the year. Yeah, man. Prayers for that brother, man. You hate to see a player that, has potential and just can't get it right. It's sad. I'm only referring to the red zone. After the block punt, the Saints ran on every down, including the failed 4th and 1. They should have attempted at least one pass on that series in the red zone. I think it had a lot to do, Dark Side, with that. That was probably strategy, running the football, keeping a clock moving. Maybe that had something to do with it. And also, Dark Side, I mean, 4th and 1, you got to be able to get it, right? You got to be able to get 1 yard. So maybe that had something to do with it. They were trying to, run a clock out, because I believe at that time they did have the lead, if I'm not mistaken. Did they have the lead at that time, or was the score 7-3? So they scrapped the plan after Taysom didn't play and McCoy injury. Yeah, I think that they probably won't admit it, but I feel like Taysom probably was a game time decision, and like up to game time, they probably had him out there. Like, how you feel? Like, I don't know. We're going to hold you out. And I just feel like, okay, we're gonna take this out, take this out, take this out. It kind of reminds me of the NFC Championship game when Josh Hill got knocked out of the game. Like if you notice, like the Saints were having success, against the Rams, and then Josh Hill left the game. And I'll never forget after that game, Sean Payton was like, we had to take away at least about 43 plays out of the offensive playbook because Josh Hill was just so important to, those plays working. So I don't know. I think maybe they had a game plan, and Taysom was involved, and then all of a sudden they just decided, you know what, I don't think that we're gonna play him, So TJ, did you see how Malik Willis looked with the Packers the other day? Yeah, man. I mean, he looked really good. I mean, shouts out to Matt LaFleur. He's doing a really good job, man, at developing those quarterbacks. I'd rather the injuries now than later. I agree, man. I agree. I don't want injuries at all, but if they're going to happen, you'd rather have them at the beginning of the season where you can actually dig yourself out of any hole that you put yourself in due to those injuries. Excuse me. I'll be glad when we can build around the next future quarterback. I'm tired of Carr, him too needy. Look, I just think, I already told y'all how I feel about Derek Carr, man. And Dark Side, I'm sorry, man. Cover your ears, man. I'm just watching the games. Man. I don't feel like I do not believe in Derek Carr as the quarterback. I just don't. I don't believe in. I hope he makes a believe out of me. I hope he makes a lie out of me. I hope that I'm eating crow every single time I say this. I just don't believe in dude as a quarterback. I don't feel like you're going to get where you need to be with him as your quarterback. I just don't. I think that, you're going to get teased. You're going to get to a point where, there's going to be those Derek Carr supporters that are going to be coming out telling you, oh, man, I told you he was good. I told you he was great 1 week. And then the next week, your offense is struggling. I just don't understand. Like, I understand that quarterbacks in the National Football League, they're going to struggle. Like, I don't care how great you are. We've seen Tom Brady basically get goose egg by the New Orleans Saints, right? He's a legend. Like, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, depends on who you talk to. But I just feel like these games happen for Derek Carr in the Saints uniform way too often. And I just also feel like you just need the stars align too much for this dude in order for him to succeed. Like, yeah, there'll be some game where he will probably rise above this situation. But look, man, I just feel like the house got to be too neat in order for him to live in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Everybody wants a clean house. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel a little better, makes you breathe a little better. But look, man, if you be in a house long enough, you know what I'm saying, you working during the week, you're going to have some clothes on the floor. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have some things, you know what I'm saying, you ain't pick up. I mean, maybe some of y'all got some OCD, but I mean, the house ain't going to be like, you know what I'm saying, like spotless if everybody leaving that thing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you got to be able to, navigate a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Until you be able to clean this joint up. But I just feel like the stars have to be too aligned for him in order for him to make it. But I'm not, man, I'm off that dude, man. I'm serious. Like, I want him to succeed because he is the quarterback of my favorite team, the New Orleans Saints, but I'll be lying to you if I say that I feel like he's going to take this team anywhere. And, I mean, I know that may not be popular opinion to some people. I apologize if you think that I'm not believing in the team. I do believe in this team, but I just don't believe he's going to take the Saints where they need to be. I think that the Saints are going to kind of be competitive to a point where, we'll spend our money. I think that they're going to win some games to make us feel good about ourselves and good about the team. But when it comes to like getting over the hump, when it comes to like winning, a game, deep playoff run, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Like you gotta have too much of a perfect situation for me. Drew spoiled us. Drew did spoil a lot of Saints fans when it comes to the quarterback play, but that's not why I'm comparing and comparing them to. Like, I'm smart enough to know that Drew Brees is an outlier. He's an anomaly. That's the reason why we admire him so much. He was a special quarterback when he played. But I just feel like, man, these offensive struggles happen way too often with this guy. The first couple of weeks, what I'm saying, it was lighting it up, but I mean, it just, man, I just feel like if you above average quarterback, I just feel like, man, you should be able to rise above certain situations at times. I just feel like the Saints just have too many cases where they just can't move the football. And you feel like the good ones, the great ones, the elite ones figure it out. And I just feel like, there's no business after your team had a block punt, a fumble recovery, and an interception, you couldn't turn any of those possessions into points. So, in my humble opinion, I just don't believe in dude like that. I know LOL is ridiculous trying to justify it. Like I said, I think that he's talented. I think that he is a really good quarterback. I think he's really good, man. I don't think he's like great or elite or anything like that. I think he's a high value quarterback, but I just don't think that he is that type of quarterback that's going to get you where you need to be. I think that he's a hope quarterback. Like, he's a quarterback that does just enough to give you some hope. And at this point, like, you don't want no hope because you're watching a defense that is a championship defense. If the Saints had some consistency, on the offensive side of the football, man, this team could be undefeated right now. I don't know, man. I don't want to keep on digging in the crates, but would Prime Breeze have this team at 3-0 right now? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He would. I mean, even if okay, this gonna sound crazy. I think that Dak Prescott would have this team at 3-0 right now. Like, I'm serious, man. It's just something about that guy. I just feel like he is the type of quarterback. I'm trying to think of a quarterback in the past that can instill some levels of excitement, can have people like going to war about him and not really win anything of significance. I mean, you got to think about Tony Romo. Like, I think about like Tony Romo. He's like a Tony Romo type. Like, Tony Romo wasn't a bad quarterback, put up like some really good numbers, facilitated some comebacks, was in duels with some top quarterbacks in the league. I'll never forget when the Cowboys played the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. And I mean, he was going toe to toe with Peyton Manning. I mean, they lit it up. I mean, I want to say both teams had combined like over 1,000 yards of offense, high scoring, exactly what the NFL wanted at that time. But I just he when it came down to it, when it was time for clutch time, what did he do? Turn the ball over. So that's just the way I feel about it. That's just the way I feel about it, man. Let's see. Because he's done it multiple times. Corey says, stop being negative. What am I supposed to say, man? Like, what am I supposed to do? Lie to you, Corey? Am I supposed to lie to you or tell you like something? Like, man, I just don't rock like that. I just don't, man. And I can't. And I won't rock like that, man. I'm sorry. Like, I just think that you got to be able to understand that just because I'm saying this doesn't mean that, I just don't want the team to succeed. I just question it. I just question, like, can this team go to where it needs to be with this dude as the quarterback? I'm like, look, when it comes down to football, I don't believe in belief. I don't. Like, I believe it's gonna happen. Like, nah, bro. Faith without works is dead. You got to put that work in. You know what I'm saying? I can believe all day, but if I don't put any effort into it, I can believe that the State of the Saints podcast could have been a top podcast, but I ain't putting no work in. If I ain't put these episodes together, guess what? None of this stuff would be happening. You would not be here today. We wouldn't have 200 people watching this live. You wouldn't have a bunch of people in the chat giving their opinions about this team. All I'm saying is, like belief only can get you so far. Like, we believe in this football team, but What does our belief do? Is belief going to get you a win on Sunday? No, it's not. So me saying I believe in this team, like, it's not going to move the needle. It's not. You know, like, your belief, with all due respect, your belief means absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like you can believe all day, but if nothing comes of it, I mean, just nothing comes of it. I just don't think that the dude can get this team where it needs to be. I will be happy to be wrong. You know, I would be happy to be wrong, but I don't believe I am. Let's see. That's a female thing when it comes to believing. Man, come on, man. Put some respect. Like, we ain't about to we ain't about to do that, man. You know, when it comes to that, man. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's weak sauce, you know. But I just think that believing is one thing. But like I said, like the word says, faith without works is dead, right? I mean, you can have faith all day, but if things ain't happening to make it move, like, what can you do? And I just, and I just feel like, we've had a large enough sample size to know what this guy is. I'm not saying that you can't win football games with him. I'm just saying, like, if you could tell me that Alvin Kamara can put forth like a Christian McCaffrey 2023 type season, the Saints going all the way, right? Because I believe, you know what I'm saying, like it, and what I have seen out of Alvin Kamara. Like, I've seen Alvin, like, that's something you actually can believe in because it's actually right in front of you, right? You know what I'm saying? It's right there. Like, you've seen it happen. You know what I'm saying? You've seen the work. But when it comes to, like, his quarterback play, you know what I'm saying? Like, you honestly, if we talking about believing, you can believe that you have an average quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, faith without works is dead. You got faith in Alvin Kamara. Why? Because he put in that work. You've seen it. He played at a high level. Former offensive rookie of the year, multi-time Pro Bowler. Now one of the leaders of the team. You know? So, well, that's just the way that I feel about it. You know? Like I said, you want to have a belief in some, I don't, you know what I'm saying? When it comes down to belief, you can have a belief in something, but it's kind of hard for you to believe in something that you have believed in that hasn't come into fruition. So when you do believe in something, you seen it happen, right? Right? Well, all my people in relationships at, right? I mean, when a person, you believe a person loves you, right? Because they show it. So when they show it in their actions and their deeds, you can believe that person cares about you. But just blind belief off hope alone, I don't know, man. I'm just waiting on that game where I can just feel like, he can change my mind. I haven't seen it yet. James, most people here, including TJ, said the same thing. So who's wrong? I don't even know exactly what was said. What was said? Things is out of bounds is a better and smart way to go. Chris saying it doesn't make it true. Oh man, that man went to Hitler. God dog. What are we doing? Chris, if everyone started saying 2 + 2 = 5, does that make it true? Wild card always get hurt when he makes a bad play. And we talked about that before. It says, but why make up lies, TJ? How can Carr turn the block punt into points when he wasn't able to throw the ball? Again, all 4 plays calls were runs. So how is it Carr's fault? Can Carr audible out of a run? I'm just asking, Dark Side, can he audible out of a run? So you think he goes to the line of scrimmage with one play like we're in college? Let me give you an example. You know how Saquon Barkley scored a touchdown? Go back and watch it. That was a passing play. But you know what Jalen Hurts seen? Jalen Hurts seen that those guys were up in the box, and he seen the middle of the field that was just wide open, and so he audibled to a run with Saquon Barkley on a draw play, and he ran for a 65-yard touchdown. So I'm just asking, can he audible out of a play? So if he knows, for example, okay, you see the coverage, right? You see the coverage. You see how they how they've been approaching you, so you don't think he can audible out of it, right? So at any time, like he felt comfortable that he could have passed the ball, he couldn't do it. So that's all I'm saying, man. Like we can't like just look. I understand that's your guy, but you can say, oh, he going with the plays that was called, man. But if you're a veteran quarterback, been in the league for a good little minute, man, teams will trust you to be able to make the right decision. So can you audible out of a play? I'm just asking. You know, I mean, I don't know. But that also tells you everything that you need to know, Dark Side, as well, man, about what the direction of the Saints and what they're trying to do. The Falcons and the Saints game is going to come down to which team plays better. Complimentary football. Both quarterbacks are average, and I can't trust either. Yeah, I mean, I think they both are the same. I think they're the same guy. You know, I really do. Every team has to lose once or twice or 6 times. LOL, we still good. Exactly. You have to read the defense and make the adjustments. Carr is in his 11th season. No excuses. Either you got it or you don't. Carr is who he is, man. He is who he is. Like, he going to give you good moments. He going to give you head-scratching moments. You know, I would never say that Derek Carr is a bad quarterback because he's not. I just want to see him. I just want to see him change my mind because I don't believe he's gonna take the Saints where they need to be. And I mean, I talked to people behind the scenes, well-respected people, man, like well-respected people that y'all see on TV every single day. And I promise you, had one person work for a major network. I was talking to him behind the scenes, and he said to me, he said, the Saints will never get where they need to be as long as they got Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. And he also said to me, he said, a lot of people feel that way. But of course, like that's just what it is. I mean, but I think that the Saints gonna win the division. I think that the Saints right now have the best team in the NFC South. I'm not saying this because I'm a homer. I'm saying it because it's true. But I'm just questioning like what happens after you win this, right? Is it gonna be home to the dome and a one and done? Right? Because if you go to the Superdome and you get a home field advantage and your defense playing like that, you gotta win, man. You hold a team to 15 points. You gotta win a football game. 15 to 12 with a quarterback that has played 11 seasons, making over $100 million. Nah, bro. You gotta find something. You gotta find a way to win those type of football games. But I don't want to leave on such a negative note, man. It says Carr had Devontae Adams and couldn't make it. O-line, give him some time. Carr will be okay. Dark Side, give it up, please. Carr is just what we can afford at the moment. Raiders have been bad a long time. That is true. Miss D and Jared giving out a yeet. The Dark Side, if the team had faith in Carr, we probably would have tried to pass play. I think they have faith in Carr. I just think that the Saints understand who they are right now. I think they understand who they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, my name is Timothy J. Jones, and this show is powered and brought to you by BETUS. Sign up today. Get up to 150% on your first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposit. If you go to BETUS, you'll find out that the Saints are a 1-point underdog against the Atlanta Falcons in this game this weekend. If you feel like the Saints will cover, make sure that you place your bet. You can use the promo code YouTube 150 to take a part in the promotion. That's YouTube 150. You can follow me on X at TJY Jones 8. Thank you for all those that checked out the collaborative podcast on tonight. If you're actually watching this on a Wednesday night, shouts out to my guys Berto and Smitty, Atlanta Falcons podcasters. They invited myself, Big Q, Aaron from the Black and Gold Breakdown podcast. Also from CB was supposed to be there as well, man. I want to give a special shout out to him. I think there was some issues backstage where he tried to come on, and I don't think they, maybe everything was going on at the time, but y'all make sure y'all check out the Who Dat Nation, the Who Dat chat line. Make sure that y'all follow CB. He does a really good job over there. A lot of roundtable discussions and a lot of trash talk, man. But we had a good time over here, and we had a good time on this episode. Don't know exactly how this whole offensive line thing is going to pan out, but we'll see how the Saints are going to try to approach this. Both teams, Atlanta Falcons as well, having issues on the offensive line. So they lost their center. They put him on IR. So both teams are going to be going into the game with backup centers. So how they're going to be able to kind of buffer up and spruce up, as my mom would say, this offensive line, we'll find out later on in the week, leading up to the big matchup, week 4, inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. But this has been a State of the Saints podcast. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes are available for you on YouTube. Check out the Gumbo Pod Sports podcast. Also, NFC South Roundtable every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. We go live, breaking down NFC South football. A lot of members of the Who Dat Nation have come over there. Hope you all are enjoying it. I'm overwhelmed by the support that I get every single Tuesday on that podcast. So I really thank you all for that. For those that don't, you're missing a treat, because we have a lot of fun and we a lot of entertainment over there. All right, but thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.